After an extra chaotic race at Algarve, tensions are high between the classes as both groups felt disenfranchised by the other in the traffic last week. But if they thought this week would be any better, they should check their expectations on the grid, as Lime Rock Classic, the shortest lap on the calendar, will give the drivers little time to reflect. Who will survive the tight confines of Connecticut, and who will rise to the fore to take victory here today? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch Round 7 of the iRacing IMSA Vintage series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Adam Lindgren, and with me in the booth is Craig King. In the truck are our directors Daniel Costello and Christian Deploy, and they're using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Lime Rock Park is a bull ring for multiclass, and to find out what makes this place so fascinating, let's take you down to our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Lime Rock Park. Located in the northwest corner of Connecticut, this unassuming little track has garnered a surprisingly passionate following. Its unique aspects create a circuit not only full of character, but consistently challenging even to modern race cars. While it has 4 different possible layouts, on the classic version, only 7 corners are split along a 1.5 mile track with just a single one of them turning left. Though simple in appearance, most drivers will tell you that trying to be fast here is anything but. The run down the front stretch into Big Bend offers pretty much the only viable passing spot, but it's a double apex right-hander which lures drivers into taking it too fast. The uphill is also scary quick considering its lack of runoff and can sometimes cause cars to get airborne over its crest. Then, on the opposite end, the downhill sends cars diving into a quick sweeper, which requires a good exit speed in order to defend or attack back into the first corner. Modern racing mostly uses the more recently built chicanes, especially at the uphill. But one of the most unusual facts about this track is that the races are never held on Sunday. Due to a legal agreement with a nearby church, events must take place on Fridays and Saturdays. The confines around this place are tight, the passing opportunities are few, and mistakes are usually punished with race-ending damage. With most other road courses now being built with upwards of 3 and 4 miles in length, this track stands out. But in an age of multi-million-dollar facilities and flashy buildings, this quaint small circuit manages to keep fans coming back with its intimate and grassroots setting.
And Craig, those cars brought back memories, but why don't you talk to us about how these old cars that bring back even more memories are going to handle Lime Rock Park?
Well, Adam, it's kind of impossible to talk about this track in the same amount of time it takes to lap the track. So this is one of the shortest tracks in all of motorsports. And Lime Rock does have a legacy in America and a legacy in this series. Now, today it's the classic layout, a layout the drivers have requested. You're taking out the uphill chicane to give better options for overtaking and, of course, for speed on the uphill. Speaking of the uphill, fear the uphill. You will go all 4 wheels off the ground into the air. So keep off that throttle, until you land, or you will lose the rear of that car. Overtaking, as you can imagine, will be a challenge here, regardless if it's the interclass battles or the multi-class battles. For a track that is so short, the overtaking options are limited. You look for them going into the Big Bend or the left-hander and maybe the West Bend. Adam, this track is so quick, it really is at a blink and you miss it. But one important thing to point out, the inside is not the overtaking spot for multi-class on every corner here today. That is a key factor.
Absolutely. So it's going to be interesting to see how the drivers handle all of the tight confines and how they're going to weave through here. Interestingly enough, the points championship has taken a little bit of a turn. Jack Wells was not at the race last week at Algarve, and Jacob Reed took the win, so that puts Jacob up 22 points. But if we factor in drop weeks, especially last week being a goose egg from Jack as he didn't show up, Jack will still be ahead by 3 points if they came into next round like this, because that's when the drop weeks apply. Seamus Power and Farron Grau are battling tightly for the 3rd position, but then it's really tight between Farron Grau all the way down to Antti Lepisto. Only 5 points separating them from 4th to 6th. Then it's Toko Hisada in a tight battle with the tied Ilka Codesalo and Davide Ricciardi, sorry about that, and Logan Edwards only 1 point behind as well, rounding out the top 10. Very tight in the GTPs. How about the GTOs, Craig?
Well, the GTO is going to be very interesting when it comes to drop weeks. We'll talk about that shortly. Valenteus does not have a perfect record anymore after last week. Maybe if he keeps winning, that drop week will turn into a perfect record for him. But overall, it will not be the perfect score for him. But he still has that lead over Van Hicks. That could be interesting, whether Van Hicks not picking up a good result. Look for that for a drop week, as well as Noah Lundberg. Did not get a score in week 2, so that's going to be a drop week for sure. He can catch up as well. And Andreas Schuster, he had missed a week. He can also catch up. So still very close as well, especially when you look at Mickey Friesen, Javier Del Olmo. A lot of those drivers with goose eggs, as Adam was saying, they can still get into the bottom of that podium. Never say never, but all we can say is this is Valenteis' world.
Absolutely, it's Valenteis' world, and this is yet another round that is of the standard format, round 7 of normal 12. So 40 minutes out here for these drivers with open setups. They can set up the car however they like or dislike with no spare car, which is unfortunate because when you hit the grass out here, you tend to find the wall. Drive-through at 17 incidents and disqualification at 25, but we expect that if drivers are getting incidents out here, they tend to end up in the pit lane being towed. So qualifying is well underway here, considering how quickly the laps wind down. Nick Makanos is already on his second lap and is in current provisional pole position over Toga Hisada by 1/10 of a second. Joran Van Hicks currently in provisional pole position over Josh Brain, but most of the Audis have yet to take their first time lap.
And I gotta be brutally honest, when you see a gap of 1/10 on a track this small, it is amazing. That is not a glitch on the system. That is a fastest lap, 39 seconds. That is how fast we're looking here. Cal Young just went 400th slower than Makanos. Here's Dylan Freckleton. Look at what they have to deal with around this track today as he comes around. This is now the right-hander. You can see why. It's a right-hander. That's Josh Brain now coming down the start-finish line. He's going to take some time. This is so quick. You do forget, though, Adam, 10 seconds is the delta.
Yeah.
And usually that's not a big issue, but on a track this small, that's a massive issue.
Yeah, normally we're talking about laps in the 150s for the GTPs and the low 2s for the GTOs at 10 seconds of a gap. So consider it essentially doubled. So this is going to feel like the speed difference of a 20-second delta, which would be the biggest we have in the season aside from Le Mans, I believe. So it's going to be very interesting as we see Javier Del Olmo in third position. He's got 2/10 to pick up against Mickey Friesen. The question is, can he do it on his second lap? Looking for better than a 49.3, and it's going to be a 49.187. That is going to put him into provisional pole position over Mickey Friesen by 6/100ths of a second. And Mickey Friesen just finished his third lap. Doug Cloud, Ove Trengren, and then a host of other drivers have yet to set their qualifying times, including Andres Valenteis, who looks like he's going to be doing last to first again.
It's doable. I wouldn't want to do it myself. We're on board with Jack Wellesley. He comes down, just on the west bend, down into the diving turn here. Look how flat it is for these GTPs. GTOs will have to look for a little bit of a lift. Noah Lundberg just going pole as well at the moment. He's got one more lap to go in the GTOs. And again, around he goes. Just look how much they have to work here through the Big Bend. It's a double apex corner. And the best way to describe the Big Bend, it's almost like turn 1 at VIR. You want to compromise the first apex to set yourself up for the second apex. Down they come into the no-name straight. Look at the speed here. This is what the drivers wanted, and you go flying off. Well, that is one of the best feelings in the world, providing you don't crash. And they're really taking a lot of these curves out here today, and that could be dangerous later in the race.
Yeah, Jack just getting pushed a little bit wide there on the right-hander up above the hill. I will say that through Paddock Bend, it's really dangerous for the GTPs and GTOs when they come into multi-class, because the GTOs, like you said, have to lift. They're coasting it through the corner and with this little stab of brake at the apex, whereas the GTPs are full flat out through that corner. If the GTPs have to lift for a GTO, they can lose upwards of 1.5 seconds just on that straightaway alone. And that means that the GTPs are going to be looking to dive bomb the GTOs. We've seen many an incident with the GTO being sent off into the grass on the outside and hitting that outside tire barrier. I would expect to see some of that today, unless the drivers in this top split, and it did split this time, start to behave themselves a little bit better than we saw last week. Jack Wells crossing the line. Still, he jumps up to 4th position, and that leaves Jack David Spickett, who's running around. He will be, actually, it looks like Valenteis is out there on the track, but I believe Jack David Spickett is going to be the last one to be able to set a qualifying time unless Valenteis decides he wants to qualify. So it'll be very interesting to see. Jack David Spickett coming around the couple final corners now, but he's going to park it at the top of the hill.
Yeah, he's go Parker. You know, it's interesting when you were talking about that split. This is something the community, I think, are going to be quite happy. Usually everyone's like, more cars, the better. Well, remember, for those unaware, the series splits at 55 cars. Valenteus, that's a little bit of a slide. The series splits at 55 cars. Could you imagine 55 cars around here? There'll be nowhere to move. It already is a traffic jam with some of these drivers sometimes. But for the likes of those drivers to really have an issue, that would just be dreadful. So 30 cars out here today, just over 30 cars. It's not too bad. Valenteus with an off track there. I wonder if he is just getting some time in, because I don't think he's actually putting the power down. I think he really wants this challenge. And of all the places to do a last to first, this really is a challenge.
Absolutely. The largest grid I ever did at this track with this series was 47. And like you said, there was nowhere to go. It was hard to make passes in the GTOs because there were so many GTPs streaking by. And then, yeah, another off track there for Valenteus. He's taking that turn a little bit strong, but I think that's by design. I think he's trying to get air because it's fun. And if he wants to do a last to first challenge, why not have a little bit of fun? But yeah, it's a blessing to have less drivers around here, but they don't have that many less, as we see Valenteus almost pulling off the slide into the pits without making contact. But unfortunately, he's going to say hi to the tow truck driver at the end of the track. But that is going to be the end of qualifying. Craig, what are your thoughts heading into this round? How do drivers approach this mentally with the amount of challenges they're going to have today?
Imagine oval racing. That's how I've always described this place. It's a little bit of oval racing. You want to just take your time, build a run. That's what they say in oval racing. You build a run, you've got to build yourself up to make an overtake here. So we know the diving turn for the GTPs are going to be flat. So set yourself up for the west bend. You may even have to set yourself up for the uphill. You have to just think a few corners ahead just to keep it going. It's going to be very interesting.
It definitely is going to be very interesting, and we're looking forward to seeing the results of this qualifying. Absolutely. It looks like we're going to get onto the grid here in a couple of moments. Wait for the session to cycle over. And now it is time for the grid. Nick Makanos takes pole position over Cal Young. Those two on the first row for the second week in a row. Then we have Jacob Reed, who's going to line up in third position, with Jack Wells next to him, lined up behind Cal Young. Togo Hisada is going to line up in the sixth position, with Farron Grau in seventh, Ardo Iamaki in eighth spot, and Hamilton Barrera Ruiz down in ninth. Fernando Serrato is going to round out the top 10 of the GTPs. Then it's Laust Olsen, who is going to start off in 11th position. There we see the first page on screen right now. Laust Olsen in the 10th position, I should say, with Serrato in 9th. And then on the next slide, it's Justin Heroder with Dylan Freckleton in 11th and 12th. Ilka Kodasalo is going to line up next to Seamus Power. And then Brendan Lim is the last driver to set a qualifying time and the last of our 15 GTPs out there today.
We have the 15 GTP. How about the GTOs out there today with Noah Lundberg taking them ahead by Javier Del Olmo? What a time that was, though. A 10th faster than everyone. Mickey Friesen would be third, with JD Rodriguez in fourth, and then Johan Van Hicks in fifth. Jack David Spickett will be sixth. Josh Brain will be seventh. Christopher Lesniak will take eighth, followed by Ove Trengerade in ninth, and Doug Cloud will be 10th. And as we get to the second line, look at it, it's freezing. It's not really freezing out there today. We'll get to the weather shortly. Jake Johansson will be 11th. Martin Krajcik will be 12th. Roman Bello will be 13th, with Emerson Gordon in 14th. Fabian Youngblood will take 15th. And Tim Gaudry will be the last of the time qualified. Valenteus, he gets 17th due to iRating. Lucas Gregorius will be 18th. Both of them not setting a time. 18 GTOs, 15 GTPs.
Which I think is the first time this season that we can say that the GTOs outnumber the GTPs on track. I could be wrong about that. Speaking of the weather, we don't have weather to show you, but it is currently October 26th of last year, and it is 70 degrees out there in the air, 78 Fahrenheit on track. That's 26 Celsius on track for these drivers, with a wind of 6 miles per hour out of the northwest. So, very, very interesting to note the weather conditions and the date of this race. It's a nice fall day out here in Connecticut as we get rolling for the very, very quick pace lap.
Yep, just blinking, you miss it. Thank God it's a full formation lap here. Otherwise, you would not be able to see a lot of what to do. Now, Big Bend here, Big Bend, no name straight as they call it, many names. And you can go a bit side by side here. Overtaking can be very tough for those GTPs, so do keep eyes on what happened there. The GTOs, not really going to be able to do much out there today, but you just start to see the track hasn't really changed in the years, apart from these chicanes here, which we're not using. So everything is still quite a narrow track out there. So you do have to just give the space if you are going too wide. Very treacherous. As you see, we're basically getting ready to go green.
Both classes have one passing zone, and that is the entry to turn 1. You could try to invent one in other places, but especially with the speeds that the GTPs are carrying around here, that's going to be a huge risk. Nick Makanos follows the Porsche pace car down the hill, as our GTOs as well, starting to come through the bend as well. Looks like it's going to be a fairly large gap of 5 seconds back to Noah Lundberg, but the Porsche pace car pulls off and is going to release Nick Makanos, who's going to get ready to start the race, and he takes the huge jump on Cal Young. Cal caught sleeping by Jacob Reed as well, so Jacob's going to streak by. That leaves Jack Wells, pole driver, or rather our championship leader, is going to be trying to follow him through into third. Can't quite do so. Cal Young into third, Jacob Reed in second, and Nick Makanos in first.
Big crash in the GTOs. JD Rodriguez caught the grass and lost control. He takes out Friesen and Javier Del Olmo. A big incident to start the race in the GTOs. JD being a little bit ambitious or just a little bit late on the brakes, and he catches him out. And all of a sudden, that gives Lundberg a 1 second lead over everybody else. Cal Young continuing this battle here with Jacob Reed. One of the cars going wide as well. It's a blue car. I believe that might have been Jack Wells. It is already after 1 lap. We've got some drama.
Absolutely. It looks like Mickey Vries is the one who got the worst of it. Major right front damage that's going to be affecting his drive for the rest of the race, but he still can continue. But he's losing time to the drivers up ahead. It'll be a struggle for him to try and recover that car. Javier Del Olmo and JD Rodriguez did fine. Let's take a look at this replay, Craig.
Yeah, let's have a look. You can see Javier Del Olmo's making the little bit of the block there. He is doing it, and it does look like, I saw from when I was looking, it looked like JD started braking on the grass, and that caused a lot of the issue there, just losing it. And I think he tried to just save it. A little bit of cold tires there, not helping him. So this is Jack David Spickett. He's made up 3 places. Basically, everyone's made up 3 or 4 places on this race already. He is now battling for P2. Last week, he said he didn't deserve a podium. This week, I think he might be deserving it.
Jack David Spickett has been on the path to improvement over the last couple of seasons, Craig. We've seen him go from a top 10 driver to battling for top 5s, now in a provisional podium position. But remember, there is one driver behind who tends to take over in these races, Andres Valenteus, in 12th position as we ride on board with Christoph Lesniak.
Yeah, on that classic Audi Quattro livery he drives, and you just start to see how much the speed difference is between these cars. Emerson Golden in the background making a position up, but you just start to see weight. And now this is the opportunity that maybe these guys probably want to work together out there today. I can report Jake Johansson's gone around as well, having to almost making his way up. They kind of want to work together.
Hey, Craig, guess what?
What?
The GTPs are already passing the GTOs the first time.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
So it begins. Here's Nick Makanos making his way past Mickey Vries and Jack Johansson. Jacob Reed is going to get caught up behind some of these GTOs here, and now comes the downhill. This is where the GTPs will get held up. Nick Makanos majorly held up onto the straightaway. This is going to give Jacob Reed a really good opportunity, and to one, if he could find a way by, he's going to find a lane, take the middle. Is he going to take the lead? Nick Makanos on the brakes. Jacob Reed thinks better of trying to take it 3 wide into 1.
He's thinking better taking it 3 wide into 1. He almost took it 3 wide in to the second part of the Big Bend. Could not get it. He got held up from Roman Bellows, and now he's going to have to wait. Cal Young right behind these drivers as well as they look for the left-hander into the right-hander. Still nowhere to go. Cal Young gives a little bit of an excuse me. He wants to get by. This is what you're going to see a lot of right here. They have to sacrifice the apex around here to the GTOs, and Cal Young gets 2 cars behind him. Up on the hill they go once again. Really good run from Jacob. He has the better understanding of the traffic around here today, it feels like, but he just doesn't have that run. This could be the best part. Compromised line for Nicholas Makanos, but Jacob has to lift a little bit. Don't think he's going to get a run.
Josh Breen falls back to 7th position in the GTOs to Christoph Lesniak, and I can report that there was a little bit of a concertina that actually bottled up Dylan Freckleton and Seamus Power, both of them with major damage. Freckleton to the rear, Seamus Power to the nose and to the left side. They got caught up with some of the GTOs in the back of the pack as they were trying to hit the brakes through the first turn. We look at Jacob Reed. They're finally clear. That is one lap through the GTOs done. going to happen probably 5 to 6 times, maybe more, over the course of this race. You can see them taking the jump in the background. Lowenberg just trying to hang on and go straight in that GTO in the lead of the race. 2 seconds is the gap back to Joran Van Hicks.
And the crazy thing as well, you got Noah Lowenberg, you got that 2-second gap. He had a 3-second gap between Farron Grau and Jack Wells, and then a 3-second gap between Jack Wells and Togo Hisada. Speaking of those guys we were just talking about, Farron Grau, Cal Young, they're still having this little battle. They can't catch up to Jacob Reed anymore, mainly just due to the fact the traffic hurt them a little bit. Sorato making some moves, Freckleton making some moves in the background, you'll see on that timing tower. It's hard to keep very up to date with the rest of this field, but you have to just keep your eyes on that timing tower, just how quickly this race goes. It could just be just like that sometimes.
And this is where discipline is important for the GTOs. They need to drive their standard line unless they have a GTP up there inside. Otherwise, they just need to drive their standard line because the GTPs don't have time to react to anomalies around here. They are just going to go towards where they think you aren't going to be, and if you do something different, that's going to be a problem. Andres Valente is already up to 9th position. He started off back in the 17th position, and he's trying to make a move now on Emerson Gaudin.
He's trying to get his 9K back as well. I've noticed he's 8.8K, but this is a man that drives the classics for fun. He doesn't want to drive any of that modern-day fangled stuff, as he says. There's a car off ahead of them. It's Dylan Freckleton, not going to hold them up. But Valenteus gets that position. He is now +9 for the day. Real good driving. Granted, he did get free position from the start of the race after what happened at turn 1, but he still had to work for those other 6, just getting those really good runs that I was talking about out of the diving turn, the last corner here, Adam. It really has helped him. He's able to just keep that throttle. Look at the apex speed. He's able to also hold that car. You know, I know he doesn't need the practice, but just having those loose moments on the jump during qualifying, I think it may have just given him an idea of how the track's performing today.
Absolutely. I can report Cal Young just at the fastest lap now that he's in free and clear air from the other GTOs, but I can report that Nick Bakanos is about to come back to the back of the GTPs. You can see him just coming into shot there in the background. So it's already happening again. Tim Gaudry goes off track a little bit in the back of the GTOs, and he's going to fall back to 17th position as we continue to watch Valenteus progress his way forward towards the back of Christoph Lesniak.
Now Lesniak, another car that's going to be very tight to look at, but we got to look at again another run through the traffic. Farron Grau trying to catch up to the back of Cal Young. He's actually done a really good job out of the traffic, and that's probably the last time you get to say that around here, out of the traffic, and he just able to catch up. Cal Young having a small moment there, needing to have to lift off, and down they go. Good to see Mickey Friesen there, still driving out there. Thankfully, it's not a track that you need top speed for, so very handy. And this is what I was talking about. You have to go around the outside of Farron Grau, having to do a Kevin Estra there. That was the only place he could be on board as well. You see on that picture-in-picture, that is Jacob Reed taking the lead from Nicholas Picados. Top 3 are less than a second together.
Absolutely beautiful move from Cal around the outside of turn 1. There's plenty of grip there for the GTPs at this stage of the race. We haven't built up the marbles out there yet with qualifying, and oh my goodness, a little bit of a wiggle from Nick McConnell is going to put him into the grip of Cal Young. They're going to go up the hill here and to the inside of Josh Brain, everyone taking the jump together. A little bit of a loose moment there from Nick because he's trying to power away from Cal, but he's going to get held up here by Valenteus and Olesniak, and now they're going to go up the inside, and Cal's going to have to stick it with them. Oh boy.
I thought for a moment I saw a little bit of a hit there on Olesniak. I thought he had a little bit of a tap. You're just watching in the background, side by side, the two GTOs side by side, Valenteus and Olesniak. And they're going to go side by side in to the first corner. Valenteus should get that, but you're keeping your eyes on what's happening here. Cal Young trying to hold on. That traffic cost McCarnes and Young a second over Jacob Reed. They have that position. They need to catch up to Jacob. It's going to be very tight to try and hold it. Where do you look for the time? You have to be patient around here. Valenteus finally got that move done on Lesniak. Really good side-by-side battling by those guys. Could not help it. It did hold up Jack Wells. That's not the important moment for the moment. What is important here is Cal Young cannot now catch up to the back of Mecanos.
No, Cal Young has lost the draft to Mecanos. Farron Grau with a good run. Which way is he going to look? Cal's going to defend at the inside. Farron's going to go to the outside, but Cal made the pass around the outside at the beginning of this lap, but unfortunately for him, it's now Farron on the outside, but Farron can't hold it. He's just too far to the outside, just probably by an inch. Honestly, at the exit of turn 1, he just couldn't get the grip, that left side tire falling off the end of that little round off that happens in that corner, and he ends up falling behind Cal Young once again. But Cal Young, we know he's still got the fastest lap on the day, so he can close the gap to Nick Bacanos. The gap at the front of the pack is 1.8 back to Nick, and then 1.2 back to Cal for a total of 3 seconds.
And this is another clear lap. They've got no traffic. Going to be interesting to see what they do. Other drivers who now still not in a clear. It's Dustin Hiroda battling Lars Olsen. These guys are net zero, both of them on the race today. And you see Dustin Hiroda a little bit dark out there today. I think he forgot to turn the lights on. That's not a big of an issue as he continues to chase the iconic yellow and blue of Lars Olsen and just trying to hold on. Lars had a little bit of a moment yesterday, Adam. We were looking at what happened to Valenteas in qualifying. Lars kind of went to go to the pits and forgot how tight that pit entry is. Thankfully, no pit stops needed today, so he should not, knock on wood, require a pit stop.
Shows you how much I've been plugged in with the streaming community on iRacing. It looks like Dustin's got a pretty good streaming setup. I'm not sure if he's a streamer or not, but pretty good setup there. Looks like he's talking to his chat. That's a pretty good race going on for Dustin right now. He's just keeping his nose clean. We still have 30 minutes to go. Only 10 minutes off the clock so far.
Only 10 minutes off the track. You know, there's still battles. This is the last place. Nobody wants the last place, but everyone wants the battles, and it's Freckleton. He's got a busted wing. It's Seamus Power. He also had the busted wing. They're going a little bit slower. For context, they're 3 seconds slower than Jacob Reed. That just goes to show, in these GTPs, you need that downforce, you need that speed, and these two are struggling. But because of how tight these corners are, they are only a second away from the cars ahead of them. So there is still a chance for a battle. Valentea's fastest lap time in the GTOs. And you just see right there, continuing on his little climb. He got past the Zamboni that Doug Cloud drove. I know the community got a kick out of the Zamboni reference. I think you need a Zamboni to get around here today.
Absolutely. Andres Valenteas making his way up into the top 5 with 10 minutes left in the race is not good news for everyone up ahead, especially Jack David Spick, who's trying to look for that podium position. So Valenteas has got some work ahead of him. He's currently about 4 seconds actually behind Noah Lundberg. And here we see Cal Young once again tight in behind Mechanos with Farron Grau as well. It's going to be a tight race for these GTPs as they're cutting through the GTO pack once again.
Yeah, once again they go from, look at the timing tower, you can see it on the timing tower as well. The gap between P1 and the GTOs all the way down to P8 is 11 seconds. But you think that's a second. Each time there's a second, you've got a gap, you've got a window, and you see a bunch of 2 like they've got right here, or in the picture-in-picture, you've got a bunch of 3 having a little battle. And that's Javier Del Olmo with Fabian Youngblood and Roman Bello. And you have to try and get random in these GTPs. You have to think about it. And look, Cal Young just having a little bit of a hesitation on Lesniak there. He loses Mechanos. He's now got Farron Grau right behind him. Now he's on the defense. Just one corner, one mistake goes offense to defense.
But the trouble is that the GTPs following another GTP through the dipper there makes it really challenging because the GTPs actually need all the downforce there in order to be full throttle. So Farron Grau being that close meant that he has lost a little bit of time. But look at this battle up in the picture-in-picture. This is the battle for that 12th position, or 11th position rather. Del Olmo, Bello, Jungbluth, and Friesen side by side is when they went through one.
Yeah, side by side they went through one, and a little bit of bumping there between Del Olmo and Bello, but Del Olmo did get it. They're going to have a little bit of a moment here because it's going to be a GTP, and that's a moment there, and that sends one of them around it with Roman Bello. I'm not sure if that was a direct hit or that may have been a little bit of network contact there, but unfortunately Togo got there a bit too hot going into the uphill.
Yeah, it looks like it was a little bit of a network moment, but here's Andres Valenteas trying to make another move up to 4th position if he can get this by Ove Trangarade. Trangarade's a stout defender, but he's going to back off because he doesn't want to get into any trouble with that GTP. It really is a race of survival today for most drivers, but not for Valenteas. He's still looking for that win.
Hey, Adam, do you know there's still 27 minutes left in the race? The
No.
GTOs are on lap 16. The GTPs, well, Jacob Reed's about to start lap 20 to give you an idea. That's how much it's been. And it's constant speed. It's non-stop out there today. Seamus Power into the pit. That wing damage is too much for him. And you don't really want to be getting repairs on this sort of track because that will cause you issues. Sorato battling on with Arto Hiraki. Gets a real good run there out of the diving turn. He's going to hold on. This is this moment we were talking about. Yeah, just a little bit of network there. I think Togo got there a bit too early, a bit too late. and there was nowhere for him to go. It's so tough, though. He had to try and get past 4 cars there. You do feel a little bit, but yeah, you try and split that gap out, and you know yourself, when you're in a GTO and you're in a pack, the GTPs do want to try and fit in somewhere. It's just a little bit of miscommunication.
This is Hisada, Serrato, Iamaki, and Ruiz all battling for 6th position, all in a line of 4 as they go around Andres Valenteus. Looks like Iamaki had to be kept cautious and patient there. Oh my goodness, a little bit of a bump there to Jack David Spickett. Another close moment there for Iamaki as well. My goodness, some crazy moves being had there at the turn, and now they're all bottled up behind Jorn Van Hicks in 2nd position. And look at this, Ruiz is going to go from 9th position up to 7th, and they're both off track, Hisada and Ruiz, as they take advantage of Jorn Van Hicks being a cork in the bottle.
Yeah, that was all Van Hicks just getting a little bit held up there, and everyone just gets on by. Hamilton decides, I am going to take this. Excuse me, there's a gap there, and I am going to take it. Brilliant move, and that has caught everybody off. No one's expecting that. They are, though, in a situation where the more they fight, the more time they lose. And I do see, is that Jack Wells or Ferran Grau that I see off?
That's Ferran Grau who's off in the middle of turn 1. This is an interesting moment because he's trying to recover.
Oh, he lost it. It was, don't tell me it was contact with Valentin. No, it was contact with the 33. I apologize. It was the Gregorius going 3 wide through the big bend.
Yeah, that was... Gregorius was just going a little bit slow and was trying to stick it out in the middle there, but unfortunately for him, unfortunately for Grau, he went off, but he was so far up with that front pack that he didn't lose any positions there. Oh, big moment. Martin Krajic's around. And so is JD Rodriguez.
Yeah, Krajic around JD Rodriguez, into the pit. He's had a black flag, I see, but that's a different one. Krajic with his own issue out there as well. Valenteus is now plus 13 positions. He's up to 4th. He's right on the back of Jack David Spickett, who's 3rd. And I think Jack's time in the podium spot might be over very shortly.
Absolutely, and so Valenteus trying to make this move. They've got some of the other drivers coming in. Here's Ferran Grau once again, trying to go 3 wide around the outside of the GTOs, and it was Gregorian who just actually made contact with JD on the inside and then ping-ponged out to Ferran Grau. So nothing Ferran could really do there, but it was a little bit of a risky move to go 3 wide through turn 1. We see Valenteus still stuck up behind Jack David Spickett, as our leaders of the GTPs try to cut their way through before they hit the right-hander up the hill. 2 of them are going to do it. Cal Young's going to have to wait. Look at this. Valenteus going for the opportunistic move up the inside.
Yeah, good move there from Valenteus. A little bit of a cheeky move from the GTPs, but he had to try and take it. They had to turn in. A little bit of an issue. He had to just hold off there. Valenteus take that position. And now not only is he dealing with lead GTPs, he's dealing with lap GTPs. Now he's on defense against Jack David Spickett. You're seeing that big battle in the GTPs in the picture-in-picture, but Valenteus with the inside should hold on to this. 1.5 seconds behind is Ferran Grau. Shouldn't be any 3 wide right now as Valenteus takes all the racing line off. Real smart driving. Still up there in that picture-in-picture, Hisada, Serrato, Ruiz, and Dustin Hiroda. And I tell you what, that's almost Lars Olsen getting involved in this now.
Jacob Reed, 4.5 seconds to the lead of the GTPs. He's cutting through the traffic better than just about anybody. We go back to that battle in the GTPs for the 6th position. Like you said, Serrato, Ruiz, Hisada, Iamaki, Hiroda, all duking it out. It's 6 down to 10th as they're trying to get their way past the fairly slow today, unfortunately, Fabian Dingluth in that red GTO. They're able to streak by, but man, this jump being such an issue for the GTOs trying to get their traction going. It also causes issues for the GTPs because while you're going over that, you can't correct. And look at this, Dustin Hiroda to the inside allows Stolson, or rather to Iamaki. He's going to try and make this work as they try and follow Togo Hisada through. They actually caused some damage on Iamaki's right rear quarter panel.
Yeah, did you see that? Not entirely sure what happened to Iamaki, but it was a little bit of a moment there, trying to go free wide. Togo Hisada spins. He had to very light tap, Iamaki, but no damage there. But Hisada going around just being a little bit too adventurous. It is so tough out there today. I think he just went too hot. Remember, there is a camber on that corner there, Adam, and I think he just went a bit too wide, and the camber decided, come here, the gravel wants you.
Makanos was the fastest qualifier, and he's cut a 1.5 into Jacob Reed's time at the front of the field. We're going to take a look at what happened here to Brendan Lim. Brendan Lim coming through. Oh, just loses it a little bit. Didn't quite have enough grip at the bottom of the hill. And that gets him into the outside tire barrier. That is going to be major damage for Brendan, and he's in the pits. We're taking a look at Olesniak and Doug Cloud. Doug, the Zamboni, trying to make that car as wide as possible, but unfortunately he's got a GTP stuck between himself and Olesniak. That's some close stuff.
Adam, a Zamboni is smaller than a GTO, but this is something that is now sticking with everyone. And do not be surprised to see a Zamboni as a little livery for Doug Cloud, but he's really working it hard now with the defense. Olesniak is trying to find his way through, but this is going to be tough just because we know the pedigree of Doug's defending, and the best place for an overtake here will be the big bend after the Sam Posey straight. If you don't get the run, it's going to be so tough in these cars. Remember, if you're not used to these GTOs, late braking, there's no late braking in these cars. You have to be precise with that braking.
Absolutely. Blocking up the right front tire is Christoph Olesniak, trying to catch up back up to Doug Cloud after the GTP's cut through. We finally have a moment of breather, and I say that as Cal Young and Nick Makanos are separated by half a second. There is no clear space on the track anymore except for just crossing the front straight finish line now between Seamus Power and Brendan Lim. Everyone else has got traffic to worry about in their rear view mirrors or their front view mirror, or their front view glass, I should say. These two, one of the closest battles in the GTOs at the moment, as well as behind them, Josh Brain and Javier Delomo. They've got Ilka Codesalo and Nick Makanos and Cal Young are about to cut through as well. Here comes Cal as Nick Makanos got held up. And that's going to be Cal. He's going to take it 3 wide into turn 1. And he's going to streak by into Makanos. Makanos is going to try and late break it. He is. It's still side by side between the two in second position. Nick's going to hang on to it.
He's going to high onto it, but I think there's a little bit of an overlap there, and there is. And Makanos has to give the respect and can't take the full racing line, but onto the grass, he could not open that corner up to Cal. There is over a train grade up ahead, so you can't even look for an overtake here. You can't go 3 wide down here in the no-name straight, and that may also be a hesitation there from Cal Young. Real good driving from Makanos there to just get that moment, give the respect needed. He holds on to that position, but it's so tough out there. They're about to come up to Valenteus and Van Hicks. But P2, there they are side by side. They're going to go side by side. They may go 3 wide into this. Valenteus will take the P2, and it won't be a 3 wide. As Cal Young goes by, he loses time.
Cal wanted it. He wanted to make it 3 wide there, but he chose not to. Here's a 3-way battle as well between Brain, Friesen, and Del Omo for 8th position. Del Omo just made the pass on Friesen coming down the hill because of Friesen getting held up a little bit. He lost his line to a GTP. So now Friesen, even with the damage that he had since the beginning of the race, is still racing well there in the 9th position on his recovery drive. He's lost 6 on the day, but since that wreck, he's up 10.
Yeah, he's up 10, and Mickey, I think I see what you're doing with that camera. We know the gear stick is there, but notice on this sort of track, no gear stick, and I think it's, well, he did have some issues with his gear stick. Not today, but that's it. Look at this. You're not needing to change gear around here. You keep it in. I say that. There he goes straight for it. Get it down into the gear. Start the throttle to see what he can do. Unable to do anything today. And now he just goes up, and then he'll go straight back down. That's important, though, Adam, because if he did not shift, he is going to cause some damage to that engine.
Absolutely, and I do think that the reason why he's struggling so much today is because that shifter's just not far enough away for him to be comfortable. But he's definitely trying to make it around here. Javier Del Omo trying to run away, but Mickey Friesen holding very strong. He's going to look for an opportunity soon. Speaking of opportunities, Cal Young is on the back of Nick Makanos again. Nick cannot run away, but one person who can is Jacob Reed. He's made that gap once again, 4.5 seconds at the front of the field, and that's because Nick Makanos and Cal Young have been battling for quite a bit. Look at this. Mickey Friesen having to wait just a little bit to turn in, but Javier Del Omo was the one who was the most disenfranchised by that. He has a shallow line through the corner. The question is, does Mickey have the overspeed to get the pass done? The answer is no. Javier Del Omo defensive to the inside. Didn't need to be this time around, but they've got Arno Iamaki who's going to try and go around the outside of them. That's going to take away the exit from Javier Del Omo. And very close between them as Arno did not commit to the exit there, and that held up Javier Del Omo, but Friesen didn't have anywhere to go either.
Friesen had nowhere to go, and I think as well he's not going to be able to get much overspeed, even though this isn't a top speed track. Just because of that damage to the front, he is going to be compromised. So doing the best he can, he has to hope for an opportunity here. Sideways in the air was Mickey Friesen there for a little bit, but he is holding on. But he needs to keep with Javier, otherwise he will get caught up from Josh Bray. Well, Josh Bray's right behind him, caught up there, and then he will have no options. You see right now, Laus Olsen, he just gets by and he's going to be lapped as well. Javier Del Olmo just goes over and he will just make sure. There's Toga Hisada. He's having a battle with Laus Olsen there as well. Keep on that keep your eyes on that as well, as the battles just keep ebbing and flowing. If there ever was a track that said the traffic giveth and the traffic taketh away, I think this really would be a good example.
Absolutely. And you know what's crazy? Toga Hisada and Laus Olsen are 10th and 11th. Guess who's right behind them in those GTPs just coming onto screen there? That is Cal Young and Nick Bacanos, 2nd and 3rd. They're about to lap Togo and Laust. Jacob Reed already has. These gaps in the GTPs, it'll be interesting to see how many drivers finish on the lead lap here. And speaking of times, Craig, Noah Lundberg has 5.5 seconds over Andres Valenteus with 15 minutes to go in this race. Do you think that's enough?
Nope, I will never say it's enough when it comes to Valenteus. Going to be interesting to see what he can do. Toga Hisada keeps on pushing. That's 5.3 seconds, and he took 3/10 out last time. 15 minutes to go. They're looking at another, 19? Yep, 19 laps out there, roughly. So you take a third of it, you take 3/10, you times that by 19, what do you get? A number. And that could be the number he needs. So that could be interesting. We do see this, though, as Togo Hisada continues, and it really has been an up and down day today for Togo. He'll have to go off. He'll let Cal Young go by, so he's not battling anyone at the moment, but it just goes to show, now you're at this part of the day, 9 drivers on the lead lap. Yes, 9 drivers, when we had 15 GTPs to start with.
Absolutely. So, interestingly enough, Toga Hisada's not used to giving way to cars coming by and lapping. Toga's usually a driver who's well on the lead lap, but around here at Lime Rock, the laps are so short that even in 10th position, he's having to concede to 2nd and 3rd positions. We're looking right now at Lesniak and Doug Cloud. Doug still having that stout defense on Lesniak. Can't gain the time back up to Ove Trangrade. 3.5 seconds it is up to Trangrade up ahead, but he's keeping Lesniak behind and maintaining that 6th position.
Yeah, Lesniak, the number 18 car. It's interesting, 18 cars in the GTOs today. These battling Doug Cloud. And you think that the lowest iRating driver is 2.8K out there today in the GTOs. That is a 4,000 strength of field. Not the strongest strength of field this season for GTOs, but it just goes to show the cutoff today. Smaller numbers mean smaller splits, and it just goes to show 4.641 if you offer the GTPs, but we're looking at this good little battle here. Lesniak is still trying to fight Doug. He is still trying to fight the man who, does he drive a Zamboni? Does he drive a Zeppelin? Does he drive an Audi GTO? One thing is for sure, he is a man that you have to really work hard to get around. And again, if you're wondering where you make the overtakes, it's here. No. Is it the next corner? Nope. It's down the Stamposi straight. He has to get a good run here and keep light on the brakes here. And he had kept light, but he's got a bit too hot. And he's going to be into the back of Doug almost. He's going to have to look for a move. And Doug puts the car in the middle of the track with GTPs coming by. Lesniak's going to have to try and go around the outside here. This is going to be very tight. He's the last of the late breakers. He has got this round the outside, but there's nowhere for him to go. And Cloud, once again, takes that round.
Zamposi straight becomes the Zamboni straight with Doug making his defense. Christoph Lesniak trying to hold on and around the outside. Couldn't do it, even being last of the late breakers. The GTO just a little bit too much understeer. Classic symptom for this car. Can't get by. Yes, we have... Oh, Laust Olsen. He's gone around. And this was in turn 1, unprompted. He just got on the brakes a little bit too late and took it too deep into turn 1 and got onto the grass. So unfortunately for Laust, lost a couple of positions back to 12th spot. We look now at Lesniak with a better run this time out of the final corner, but he's not close enough to make the move unless he dives it down the inside. I saw him twitch the wheel. He thought about it, but unfortunately not enough space. He's going to almost put the bumper to Doug Cloud through turn 1. That's definitely meant something to happen. Here's what happened to Laust. He just takes it. He's trying to blend the throttle through turn 1 and just gets those right tires just onto the grass. And unfortunately, that leads to the spin.
Yeah, that leads to the spin. While that was happening, Lesniak had a little bit of a slide in the left-hander, so he lost a bit of time. So he's just watching the guys go ahead. And one thing we didn't see was these are lap cars, the lap GTPs battling. But you see the timing tower is less than a second between Jacob Reed and Nick McCanos. Still watching this battle with Friesen and Del Olmo. Really good battle. They've managed to pull ahead from Josh Brain, and these two just really showing their championship pedigree. I know Mickey Friesen's not won the championship, but he still can. Lars Olsen has decided to tow the car. He's had massive damage, but keep your eyes, ladies and gentlemen, on that timing tower, because the lead battle for the GTPs is starting to get close.
Traffic giveth the traffic taketh away, and traffic's definitely taking away from Jacob Reed right now. He's stuck in behind a slower Ardo Iamaki, and he's losing tons of time behind Ardo because Ardo doesn't have anywhere to concede time. Here is that lead gap. The green and yellow car is Jacob Reed, and Nick Bacanos in the black right in behind him. It's under a second now for those drivers. Dustin Heroder has also taken to the after he's had an incident.
Yeah, he's had an incident there as well. We may have to look at that later, but we got to keep our eyes on what's happening now. McCarnos is now stuck behind those lapped cars, and Brendan Lim lets him by, but there's nowhere for Imamaki to let him by yet. And now he's losing time, and Carl Young realizes he needs to make some time, so he's going to have to go as well. Togo Hisada, the next man that started to tow. In the space of a lap, we've had 3 GTPs tow at the 15, and now finally McCanos, he gets the better run through here, and Valenteus, here's one to look at. There's Valenteus. That gap's 3 seconds with 10 minutes to go at him.
Absolutely. I can also report that it was Javier Del Olmo who made contact with Togo Hisada. Togo spun it coming down the hill and made contact with the outside wall, bounced off back into the path of Javier Del Olmo, leading to major damage. So Del Olmo out of the race. Hisada out of the race. Mecanos lost a second in turn 1. He's now got Cal Young for company again. And Doug Cloud and Christopher Lesniak are side by side through turn 1.
Yeah, Cloud and Lesniak side by side. They're trying not to hit, and around the outside we go. Lesniak, this is fantastic. Around the outside of the Big Bend is a fantastic move by anybody, and Christoph Lesniak gets it done. He parks the car on the apex. Costastalo will just go, I will help you, and he goes a little bit wide, a little bit of a drift. He's still drifting. He's still holding it. He holds it. What a save. He'll lose the position and a little tap of the wall, but Christoph Lesniak, you have just made a save.
Absolutely. His race is not over. He's lost a ton of positions, but he can still race. And speaking of race, he's going to now be part of this battle between Fabian Dugluth and Martin Krajcik, who are about to come up to the recovering and very hot tired Christoph Lesniak. And they got their leader, Jacob Reed, who's going to make a good cut through here. Here is what happened to Togo Hisada. He comes through the right-hander, gets onto the grass, and then he just loses it coming back onto track because of the curbing, and then he comes across the track, and unfortunately for Javier Del Olmo, he had not put the brakes on enough coming down the hill and loses his entire front clip, including the left front tire, which he was dragging into the pits. Here's Fabian Dugluth battling with Krajcik. 0.2 seconds separates the two of them, but the time on the tower means nothing. It's all about the position on track.
All about the position on track, and that might be a little hit from Krajcik, and it was. And Imamaki, just a little tap there. He slows down Krajcik. Jungbluf's going to get that position. Brendan Lim will come on straight by. No major damage there to Krajcik, but it did stop all the momentum there. And unfortunately, he loses that position. While that's happening, Lesniak, he has started to do a little bit of a recovery. Yes, he's got 6 seconds to catch up to Emerson Golden, but at least he's safe. And off goes Farron Grau. That's the smoke you just saw. And Lesniak goes off.
Everyone is stringing it out here. We're under 10 minutes to go, and everyone's pushing as hard as they can. Speaking of people who are pushing, Nick Mecanos, 1.5 seconds to Jacob Reed. Cal Young, under a second to Nick Mecanos, as we continue to watch Jungbluf and Martin Krajcik. And here is Valenteus in second position. He's got 2 seconds to Noah Lundberg. He's cut it in by a second in 2 laps. Still 7.5 minutes to go for these drivers. Valenteus may be able to get there. The question is, can he make the pass?
Can he make the pass? I think something happened with Brendan Lim. He's had a little bit of a moment with someone. He's actually collected a car. And it's Emerson Golding. Emerson Golding is hit and got around after Brendan Lim lost control at the jump. Mecanos is still battling though. We've got to keep this on because there's now a 1.5 seconds between the top 3. They go through the traffic one more time. Hesitation from Mecanos. Hesitation from Reed. It's all square. Who's going to get it? This is the problem. Mecanos is going to have to slow down for the uphill, and that puts a 0.5 second for Jacob Reed.
Cal Young, he's going to back off. He doesn't want to take the outside route through the next right-hander. Very wise move there. He's going to continue to chase Makanos down the hill. It's now 2 seconds between Makanos and Reed, but we see the traffic can take it. The traffic can giveth. And it looks like Jacob Reed is going to be held up a little bit by Romain Bello through the next sector, and then they've got the lap Dylan Freckleton to worry about in about half a lap's time. So Cal Young, we're riding on board with him up in the picture as well, and he's trying to hang on to the back of Nick Makanos and trying to not hold up Makanos too much. They both want to get their way up to Jacob Reed. Jacob has not looked impervious today where he has on other tracks. It's going to be close, but look at this, Cal Young having to be cautious going past Romain Bello. That gives Nick Makanos the breathing room he needs to try and catch back up to Jacob Reed.
If these were fan cars with fan-powered downforce, you'd be throwing everything at the fan right now. They are throwing everything, and you know what? Maybe even the kitchen sink. Valenteus had to have a little bit of a lock-up there as Cal Young tried to go around, and McConnell had to go around. They're losing time, but this is interesting because you see the timing tower for the GTOs. 1.5 now between Valenteus and Lundberg. He only took 2 tenths away from Noel last time to Valenteus, but as I've been talking, he's taken another 2 tenths away, and another 10th, and that battle is had to shape up, and Jacob Reed is now starting to lose time. Everywhere you look, you're looking at his incidents, so keep your eyes on that picture-in-picture for the final 5 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, because anything can happen right now.
And here's Emerson Gaudin. Oh, that's a crossover there. Lesniak took it too deep into turn 1, and Gaudin takes advantage of the fact that he took it too deep and is going to regain that position. Look at this. Lesniak trying to go to the inside once again, but Gaudin's got that covered off by taking the standard racing line. Lesniak has to reconcede the position.
Reconcedes the position. He just holds on by Cal Young. Still looking for opportunities. Where does he go? Where does he look? Maybe this is where he looked, but he has to do a little bit of a lift out there, losing some time to Makanos, who almost collected the wall. But now Makanos is going to be held up, and now Cal Young's going to be held up, and now Makanos is going to be held up, and now Cal Young is held up, and they just continue to keep swapping. After you, no, I insist. But who gets the better run? It's Makanos, and now he has pulled ahead of that slipstream. Young is now 1.2 seconds behind.
And Nick Makanos 3.3 seconds behind our leader, Jacob Reed. Andres Valenteus has finally closed the gap. It is just about to creep under 1 second to Noel Lundberg. There they are in the same shot together with the slow Brendan Lim going around the outside of Lundberg. And he's not going to take away the exit, but Valenteus on raw pace has caught up to the back of Lundberg, and it's now a battle for the two of them. A little bit of smoke at the apex. I believe that was JD Rodriguez having a little bit of an issue as he's not battling with Jake Johansson. Those two are on separate laps. Jack Wells streaking by in the blue. He's going to try and sneak his way through. He's in 5th position in the GTPs, and he's got 6 seconds up to Fair and Grau ahead of him.
Yeah, Valenteus is now 8 tenths behind. He'll get that slipstream. It won't be very strong, but on the Sam Posey straight, the Zamboni straight as we're christening it today, he may need it, and he may need to go for a bit of a slide like a Zamboni, because anything can happen. Lesniak Golden, they're going side by side. Lesniak gets that move finally stuck, and finally he's able to get that done. I mean, if he wants to get to Doug Cloud, he needs to find another 6 seconds. So I don't think that's going to be happening there. He can't recruit in that battle, but that's a really good recovery there from Lesniak. He started 8th. He was up as high as 5th for a second, and he's now back to 9th.
Jacob Reed has the largest pack of concentrated cars up ahead of him that he has to get by this lap in order to try and keep that gap up at 4 seconds. Looks like Cal Young had a good opportunity at a run. Look at this, Lesniak. And oh my goodness, here's Andres Valenteus right on the rear bumper of Lundberg down into the front straightaway. He's not going to get the run that he wanted, but with the gigantic draft that the Audi produces, Valenteus might have an opportunity on the brakes. He's going to shadow to the inside. He's not going to take a stab at Lundberg this time. They have Jake Johansson up ahead of them in a lapped GTO that they're going to have to contend with, as well as Seamus Power, Ilka Kodasalo, and then the leader, Jacob Reed. This lap, it's 2:40 to go, and that's still going to be 3 laps.
Trainurate in the pit. Trainurate is...
Oh, here we go. Valenteus, Noah Lundberg took the turn a little bit too wide. He was too worried about the GTP, and just like that, the lead's gone.
Did not expect that. We were looking elsewhere for a split second. Did not expect that. We were talking about Trengarade. He's in the pit. He pit up some damage. Not sure what happened there. Valenteus now has his lead. That's not all she wrote, though, because you never know what's going to happen. Anything can happen with this traffic, because behind them, Mechanos, Cal Young. Cal Young's lost more time to Mechanos. Mechanos is catching Jacob Reed, though. The times on these next laps are going to be crucial. 40.6 for Reed. 39.8. It's green for Mechanos. It's his fastest lap. He had to go around the outside of Valenteus, and he gets the outside now of Jake Johansson. He is really pushing.
2 minutes to go, and all this time spent behind Johansson has lost him 2 seconds just on those turns alone. So Nick Mechanos' chance at a win slipping away, but the traffic can still take from Jacob Reed. But look at this, Noah Lundberg not letting Valenteus go. He's going to challenge as hard as he can. They've got Jake Johansson up ahead. It's going to be this lap when they're going to have to wrestle with him. Lundberg, tire in the dirt, and so is Valenteus. They're both going to go wide. Johansson is going to go to the inside and not become a part of this. Lundberg has got to take this in raw pace alone.
Has to do this, and this is going to be interesting. We've talked about, can anyone throw with a challenge to Valenteus? Last week was an anomaly for Valenteus. No one tried to beat him. He got beaten by other factors. Today, it is pure racing, and he's not used to this in the GTOs. He usually sees this when it's GTPs, when it's Jacob Reed, but he decided he wants to drive the box this season, and now he has to just hold on. Any opportunity he can is what he needs. Lundberg has to drive 3 of the most perfect laps he has ever done on this 50-second track. Meanwhile, Cal Young is still trying to battle Mechanos. They got 2 laps to go.
And they know that they can't catch up to Jacob Reed unless Jacob has a problem. So it's all arms out for this battle between Mechanos and Cal Young. Cal knows that it's going to be second or nothing. He's got to try and make this move on Mechanos this lap.
Going to be interesting to see what Cal can do. I've got to be honest, Adam. This could be very interesting. Through they go one more time. He does have the speed. He had the momentum, but clips the grass. And I don't think that's going to help him. They're going to take the white flag. I'm pretty sure it'll be the white flag. Jacob Reed, yes, he's on the white flag. This is final lap territory for everybody. 40 seconds left for these GTPs. And around the outside for Cal Young. This is risky. They're going to try and go 3 wide. And Young goes onto the grass. They didn't make the 3 wide. They hesitated in the battle between Friesen and Doug Cloud. They're not going to be able to do anything here. Valenteus has managed to pull a second. And almost contact there. And Mechanos had to take that. And I think Doug's not going to be happy, and I wouldn't be as well. But unfortunately, that's the nature of the racing.
Yeah, absolutely. He was always going to take that Cal Young, but it's going to be Jacob Reed coming off of the final corner, and he's going to take the win today. It was hard pressed. He was under pressure the whole time. Nick Mechanos just coming off of the final corner himself, going to go to the inside to try and cover off any speed from Cal Young. Cal can't get there. His move in turn 1 last lap was all she wrote. Noah Lundberg and Andreas Valenteus are trying to deal with some wrecked traffic and trying to cut through JD Rodriguez as we see Farron Grau coming through the final corner. He's going to come across the line and finish 4th position, but Valenteus, even with all the trouble that he's had to deal with today with all of the lap cars and things, he is going to come home with a win, with Noah Lundberg coming home in a close second as they had tons of traffic battling with them as they came across the line.
And Johan van Hicks is about to cross the line. He's going to be 10, 11 seconds behind the leaders. That just goes to show the pace of Lundberg and Valenteus today. Fantastic drive by those guys. Really good. Doug does get that P6 in the end, thankfully, but Mickey Friesen will hold on to that P5.
Andres Valenteus making his way around the track, drifting that Audi Quattro, the Rally Heritage shining through, as it is a tradition at this stage for the winner of the Audi GTOs to attempt a drift lap, and it's always great to see him run around there. But Valenteus, a strong win for him, and Jacob Reed, a very strong win, considering the fact that it was a real struggle for him to stay ahead of Mechanos and Young, who he passed in the last couple of laps. Valenteus, 1 more corner to go. He's going to try, he's not going to drift it through, so that's going to take us to our results. Jacob Reed, as mentioned, the winner of the GTPs over Nick Mechanos. Cal Young comes home in 3rd position after trying to send it in turn 1. Couldn't quite get it done there. Farron Grau comes home in 4th position, 24 seconds off of the lead. Jack Wells in 5th, with Fernando Serrato in 6th, and Hamilton Barrera Ruiz, the last driver on the lead lap, in 7th position. Arno Iamaki, even after having so many incidents, is going to be the only driver to finish 1 lap down, with Ilka Colasato going to come home 2 laps down alongside Dylan Freckleton. On the next page is Seamus Power, the last driver to finish 2 laps down, with Brendan Lim finishing 4 laps down. And then drivers who had problems, Togo Hisato, Dustin Hiroto, and Lars Olsen did not finish.
Well, Adam gets his breath back. I've got my breath back, and I'll give you the GTO results because Valenteus does win. Now, those +9, +10, that's the gap to the GTPs. That's how many times they were lapped today. Lundberg finished 1 second behind Valenteus. Van Hicks also finished 10 seconds behind Valenteus. They were the only guys to take 1 extra lap, as Jack Davis Pickett got lapped in 4th. Mickey Friesen will be 5th, with Doug Cloud in 6th. Does get that 6th. Josh Brain will be 7th. Great drive from Lesniak to get back to 8th. Then Emerson Golden in 9th and Fabian Jungblöf in 10th. And on to the second page as Jake Johansson will take 11th. Roman Bello will be 12th. And then the lapped cars themselves, Martin Kreitrick 13th. Lucas Gregorius will be 14th. Then the drivers with issues out there on the track today. JD Rodriguez had to serve a black flag penalty in 15th. Ove Trengerade did have a moment earlier on in the race. We saw the issue with Javier Del Olmo, and Tim Gaudry, I believe, blew his engine early in the race. And that just goes to show just the battle of attrition it was out there today.
My Apple Watch just asked me if I was having a workout. That was an intense race, Craig, and I gotta say, this is the kind of intensity that I was expecting. Last week, we had 8+ incidents between cars. I think this week in Top Split, we had 4-ish between the classes. This was more of what I was expecting last week as well, but such intense racing out there, close side-by-side battles, lots of respect given in both classes. What are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are we're going to see more of this because we have had this nice flow of European and then the odd Navarre, the odd Mosport. We've had a lot of European tracks. We came to Line Rock here with a very old school tiny track, and it just really went to show the old school nature as we see the start of the race on the replay. We go to another old school track next week though, Adam. It's Brands Hatch next week. That's going to be one that gives similar vibes here, with just the overtaking going to be very tight out there today as you see the start of the races on both classes. That won't have the same explosiveness on the first few laps like this does, but in terms of classic tracks, we go from the classic American track of Lime Rock to the classic British track of Brands Hatch. It really is just a nice little greatest hit because we stay in England after that with Silverstone. So 2 weeks of Silverstone on my birthday fortnight. My birthday fortnight is home. I do feel very happy.
Oh my goodness. Oh, Silverstone in these cars is such a blast in both classes. It's a real challenge for the GTOs considering their classic understeer makes the sweeping turns a challenge. And the GTPs, they can lap sometimes faster than modern F1 cars depending on the layout. It is an intense race out there for those drivers. But man, Craig, one last thought on how you think this championship's going, how you think the season is running so far. We've had some unexpected finishes, but some great races.
We've had some amazing races. We've had some amazing moments out there this season as well. And we've got 4 weeks left in the season. Anything can still happen. We know that 2 drivers are leading the championship, but that doesn't mean every other position isn't up for grabs. And they do love a bit of friendly competition out there, do the drivers. And if you do like what you see here, by all means, do join the community because the more the merrier. We had a split today, something that I think was unheard of for Lime Rock. Over the 55 cars, 60 cars overall, I think. Just a fantastic achievement.
Absolutely. Healthiest participation in years for this series. And it's easy to see why with the caliber of racing that we saw today. And we head to Brands Hatch next week. What an intense race that is going to be. But that is going to close us out. I want to give a huge thank you to the team today. Craig, Christian, Daniel, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, website, and merchandise store. And don't forget as well to subscribe to this YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC because there are so many moments that you do not want to miss. Next race, as mentioned, is Brands Hatch. That is 40 minutes on February 8th at 12 p.m. Eastern. But going on GSRC next is going to be Classic Lotus Grand Prix. That is at the Nordschleife. Man, do you not want to miss that? That is so amazing to watch those cars race through that track. And if you think the racing's not going to be close because the cars are hard to handle, tune in. I think you'll be surprised. Don't miss other upcoming races that are also here on your screen. But man, if you've enjoyed joining us today as much as we've enjoyed bringing this racing to you, and trust me, we did, We hope to see you back again soon. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.